Smile, Gotham! Guess who's back in town? Arkham Asylum has been good and fun, but it's time for the villains to leave their favorite resort and get back to work. Hi friends, it's Shenanigoon, and it's time to continue the Lego Batman challenge to beat the entire story without dying even once. I succeeded as the heroes in part 1, though I admit I wasn't much of a hero. Now it's time to shine playing as the best villains in the biz. Even though I'm a bad guy, I've got standards, and that means I follow these simple rules. No extras allowed, and no deaths allowed. If I die, the challenge fails, and I have to restart the entire game. Now that we know the rules of the challenge, let's go break the city's rules and have some fun. I've broken out of Arkham Asylum, so I guess it's time to break right back in. The villains' headquarters are right here in Arkham, so I guess it's the one place Batman would never look for them. The minions in here must be crazy though, because who sees Clayface, the Clay Knight Immortal Monster Man, and thinks, yeah, I'm gonna go punch that? Even the minions that are supposed to work for me really hurts the whole self-esteem. In order to make up for that, Riddler takes old Clayface to rob a bank. Only problem is, I tripped the moment I enter the place and Eddie here decides to laugh. Not a smart move, Eddie. I try to abandon my life of crime, but the universe says no, so on I go. I don't know what's odder when I pick up this cop who easily escapes my grasp. Clayface, for still acting like he's holding the officer? Or the cop, who just stares at me and then teleports to beat me up? I try to hide from a hail of gunfire behind this random civilian, but I guess the cops don't care whatsoever and just keep firing. I go on a peek into a cop using the restroom because, well, I can explain. It's because it turns out the lever to knock this gargoyle off its perch is kept within the bathroom above the toilet. Which, yeah, I know, obviously it's in there. Where else would you keep it? Now that I have a giant key, it's time to head to the ice cream factory. Here, Mr. Freeze shows off a truly impenetrable defense. I mean, wow. Lots of the time he's not even being attacked from the front, but it doesn't seem to matter. Nothing is getting through those lightning reflexes. Inside there's a river of ice cream which we have to platform across. Easy peasy with our genius intellects in this freeze gun, right? Yeah, not quite. Enigma here is not as good at jumping as he is at creating elaborate puzzles that ultimately backfire. Even when I try to help him by freezing him before he can fall in, he still manages to throw himself in. I'm long past even having second thoughts for having this guy as leader. I'm already on the fifth and sixth thoughts. When I mind control an officer to help us, I'm faced with the moral dilemma of forcing him into the deadly ice cream or having him attack us right after. Well, it would be a moral dilemma, except I'm not good at judging distances, and the problem's solved for me. I finish off the rest of the cops using a mind-controlled one, and boy, I'm a bad shot. Thankfully, my enemy is very patient with me. Let's all just pretend I got it in one hit, eh? Poison Ivy joins me for a visit to the Botanical Gardens, where we find Commissioner Gordon and his men waiting. The world's greatest detective is over in his cave trying to track us down, but you're telling me Gordon already has figured it out? Maybe we should stop breaking into places that match our themes so well. It's just a thought. Poison Ivy kills a lot of guards with what I guess is nasty breath. Further in the gardens, I find this pond of acid. Why? I mean, really, why? We just showed up, so we didn't cause this. Who decided the Botanical Gardens needed a giant acid pool? Who designed this city? I find a caretaker to mind control, and to my delight, I discover that these cops will completely ignore me as long as I'm mind controlling. And when I attack with my deadly broom, they focus fire on the poor man. And you know, not the guy clearly making him do it. Next, I team up with Two-Face to go digging. I get faced with a truly difficult bank security measure, but somehow I manage to solve it. I go swimming in a lake of acid, because sure, why not? That might as well happen. Riddler doesn't fare quite as well when I accidentally bump him in. But it was for science. He'd understand. Further in, we discover a whole bunch of pipes completely on fire, and I just want to say, we didn't do this. I have no idea how it happened, but it's not my fault. With all the tools at my disposal, I break into Gotham's main bank. Getting in isn't so easy, and a helicopter that rains down heavy fire is flying above. And thankfully, the pilot must be hyped up on caffeine or something, because it refuses to stay still long enough to shoot me. When it does really let me have it, I'm an indestructible janitor just watching Two-Face get gunned down before cleaning up the SWAT with my broom. Always gotta stay 6 steps ahead, eh? At the bank vault, I build a giant robot and start gunning down all the SWAT that show up to stop me. This thing is indestructible and extremely powerful. Where the heck was it when I fight Riddler as Batman? Really would have made things so much harder for me. We'll leave Riddler to his beatdown, and now it's time for the Penguin's plan. Penguin has the ultimate plan. He's been watching Phantom Menace lately, and he really loved the droid army all being controlled by one control signal, so he asked himself if he could do the same thing, but with penguins. What undeniable genius. So Bane and Penguin head out to gather the radar dish for it. Running along the docks, some sailors pull off a very dramatic entrance. How long were they waiting to pop out on us? I do wonder. Instead of, calling the cops. I do almost lose the challenge when fighting some SWAT, but thankfully after the fight, I managed to rummage some hearts from both the garbage and the SWAT bin themselves. It occurs to me how disturbing of an idea that is. As Bane, I chuck some cops into the sun, throw around massive trucks like they're toys, and pull along a whole ship. So tell me, why does Bane, a villain worthy of being one of the lead villains himself, end up not even getting a boss fight when frickin' Killer Moth and Mad Hatter both do? Seeing this tantrum, he definitely would have kicked my butt, but it would have been super cool, and that's what counts, isn't it? As Catwoman, I get into a fight with a police helicopter, which sounds pretty bad, I admit. Thankfully, this fight occurs on a rooftop with the most powerful vents in the world that actually catch the bombs mid-flight and send them right back at the heli. The helicopter does manage to kill Penguin, but it gave him quite a lot of warning, to be fair. I take down more officers who probably could have used more help, but it looks like their friends are very busy. I then try to lower a ledge, but the switches must be pulled at nearly the exact same time. If only I had a friend who could pull the other lever and not just stare off into space. There's no way Catwoman is getting paid enough to put up with this. Also, Catwoman is another who kills people in this game by kissing them. I had no idea cooties were real, but now I get it's a real problem in this town. We use some necromancy or something in order to ride living dinosaur skeletons. I feel like I don't want to gloss over that. Why don't we use those dinosaurs to take over the town? Or, sell them and become ultra rich? I feel like ignoring the fact that we've brought dinosaur skeletons to life and are now riding them just might be a mistake. Oh well. We came here for our diamond, so I guess who cares about the greatest discovery of a lifetime, right? It does worry me here, though, to see that the SWAT might have been trained to use guns and whatnot, but their climbing ladder skills need a lot of work. I bet that's comfortable to see for any worried Gotham citizen, especially when it's followed up by these cops just staring with awe at Catwoman doing her acrobatic routine and escaping. I think I get why Batman's definitely needed in this city. I go for a swim with Killer Croc, and it's actually quite simple as long as I follow Dory's advice to just keep swimming, and her lesser-known advice to never stop firing. I do almost meet my demise in this battle with the police's watercraft, but thankfully that advice keeps me alive as I submerge and swim on, blowing up the docks and of course feeding on the hearts that pop out of them. What a dark, dark city this is. Turns out these cops aren't too good at thinking ahead, and as long as I keep swimming in circles while attacking, they aren't much good at actually hitting me. Very convenient. I discover while hanging out in the sewers that my penguins aren't very good at swimming. Well, at least they make up for it with massive explosions and mugging people. It's a decent trade-off, I'd say. I end up creating a giant mama croc and terrorize a bunch of city workers. Sort of. These guys are great at social distancing from me, but not really pros at the whole running for their lives thing. They act like it's a normal occasion to see a crocodile man and a well-dressed penguin man ride an enormous croc through the sewers. What, in Gotham? That might actually be the case. I break into the police station, and the fighting's a bit hectic, but thankfully carrying officer to officer is very effective at not getting shot at. It's true what they say. Human shields really never let you down. Reunited with Catwoman, we break into the Iceberg Lounge to set my plan into motion. Only thing I have to wonder is how my machine is already fully assembled and ready to go here. I just spent this whole time collecting all the parts. Did all these cops waiting down here build it for me? Very nice of them if they did. Confusing, but nice. With the machine going, a small group of penguins attack the city and cause general chaos. I don't see this plan lasting long though, I gotta say. These robots are very puntable, and there's only about 15 of them. I just feel like having all the villains I had at the very start of this, going to each of those places and doing the same thing, would have been far more effective. But where's the fun in that, eh? It's time for the Clown Prince of Crime to take his spotlight. His plan's a bit more straightforward than the rest of the criminals, as he just wants to fill the entire city with laughing gas, killing everyone. I take it back. I'll happily take the robot penguin plan over this. While hanging out in the fairgrounds, I discover that Joker really isn't picky with who he hires. No wonder Batman has zero trouble with these guys. I find that's not just low-level goons either. Poor Harley really is struggling here, but boy, she doesn't give up, does she? Someone really should help her. Anyways, on I go. I make it to Gordon, and a boss battle ensues. Gordon has many men, but I've mastered the art of jumping and shooting. When a police van that has the clown car ability of pouring out endless cops shows up, I find hiding in this crane and dropping a bomb on it works wonders. It doesn't go well for Harley down there, but it's easy peasy for me, and that's what matters. Unfortunately, Karma finally remembers where I live and strikes at me. The second police van that shows up won't explode no matter how many explosive animals I drop on it. This forces me to restart and try again. Second time's the charm, and Gordon goes down rather quickly. Time to fly. Scarecrow and I head off into the sky, quickly catching the eye of the police. Which, hey, personally, they can pay me to flip the switch for the bat signal, but that's about as much as I'm willing to do in this town. I think one of the largest signs that this is not a city fit for living in is the giant floating bombs that I have access to so I can get across the city. Also, when did Batman start blocking off parts of the city with his symbol? And why, as a villain, do I not just fly over it? I'm just so confused by this city. I reach the boss battle with another police helicopter rather quickly, and at first I'm quite worried my run will end here so close to success. The rockets lock onto us, and when I'm carrying the bombs, I can't do much to dodge them. Thankfully, I realize that, as any good villain would do, I merely abandon my teammate to die instead, by switching to the other character when the rocket is about to hit, so I lose no hearts. The fight goes down pretty easy, and then so do I when Batman causes the two villains to crash. I land into Gotham's museum to literally zero reaction. You would think two of Gotham's greatest villains, or frankly, anyone smashing through a glass roof and landing in the middle of the room would draw a lot of attention. But these civilians just don't care. Really says a lot about the state of Gotham, doesn't it? Heading further into the museum, a poisonous gas is triggered to stop us from advancing, and I just have to say, maybe try something else by now, officers. I mean, like, half of the villains in this city are immune to toxins. It just ain't working, guys. As we escape the museum, Scarecrow is captured, and Joker is nearly captured, but for some reason this cop actually takes his gun off of Joker and even looks sad that he pointed it in the first place. Why? Did he see the plot armor in Joker's eyes? Regardless, it's time to journey through Gotham streets with Killer Moth. Quite quickly, I come across a large lump of burning trash blocking the road. I just want to point out, we just started passing through here. We did not make this happen. This is just what Gotham looks like on a normal night. Pretty sucky. In fact, I'd argue we do more good for this city as I go around blowing up all the trash. I take a break from the hard work of being a villain by showing off my perfectly normal way of going upstairs. Not sure I'm even showing you this, being how normal it is to do it this way. Being this is Gotham, I find another giant robot just laying around to use and terrorize the city with. It's absolutely fantastic and unbeatable, so of course I immediately abandon it and head to the cathedral with Harley. Turns out I didn't need it at all, because this level actually flies by with little opposition, and I make it to the top of the building quite quickly. Here I shatter some stone statues by ringing these bells to reveal all the parts to my machine, because of course, what a great place to store them. I shake some hands to celebrate this momentous occasion, and I watch as Joker prepares to blow up all of Gotham. It's a bummer not to have a final boss fight, but perhaps the true boss was the mental anguish of living in this sad, sad city. But there we go! All of Lego Batman has now been beat without dying. It's always a pleasure to play this wonderful love letter to Batman, and extra fun to play with this challenge going on. I hope you all enjoyed watching it, and if you did, feel free to leave a like. If you want more insanity like this, please do subscribe, as it means a lot, and I have so many more challenges and shenanigans to get up to. Regardless, have a fabulous day, friends. Go get up to some shenanigans of your own. See you soon.